we have our sort of final assessment where we read this book together and we're supposed to discuss, understand our different viewpoints and different chapters, and also learn how we can apply it to our lives moving forward. So since I'm starting with chapter one, I might as well give you an introduction to the book. So The Richest Man in Babylon is a timeless piece on personal finance and building wealth. I think it's more amazing when you know that it was written in, I think, 1926. That's a very long time, and the book has stood the test of time. So over the years, decades, we've had our fathers and grandfathers read this book, and it still proves to be a valuable book to understanding your personal finance and laying the groundwork for building wealth. So introducing the book, moving on to chapter one. So I'd like to paint a picture with the story. I'll summarize chapter one. So imagine two friends. You have Banter and Kobe. They are relatively poor, not poor exactly, underprivileged. And they have dreams like every other person. They probably want to be very successful. Think of the aspire to aspire. They want to be rich and have a lot of money for their family and other things. But then they don't have so much. And then they have a mutual friend, Akkad. Akkad is the richest man in Babylon. So Akkad is their mutual friend and he's just coming back to town. And they find out that, oh, this our mutual friend is the richest man in Babylon. Then they walk up to him, they meet him, then they ask, like, how did he become the richest man in Babylon? And how did he build his wealth, basically? And then he tells them that the difference between the two of them basically is the fact that they probably have not learned the laws to build wealth, or they've not applied them to their lives. So you need to learn the basics. You need to learn the groundwork of building wealth and understand your personal finance to make it work. And then Akkad tells them he learned how to build his wealth from a wealthy man, so Agamish. I think, yeah, that's the name, Agamish. Then the first law Algamish tells him, so he meets Algamish in a strange way. So Algamish, I think, is the sculptor, and then he walks up to Algamish, he offers to help Algamish, then in exchange, Algamish would explain to him how he became rich and how he built his wealth. So Algamish explains to him, Algamish gives him the first law, kill yourself first. So Akkad goes back with that, he applies that, and he pays himself first, because then it's important, because you you sort of, when you pay for something, say you buy food, 2,000 naira, depending on your income, you've worked for that person, paid that person. That's how it works. So Agamish tells Akkad to pay himself first, no matter what. So Akkad goes back, he applies that to his life. Then he meets Agamish again in the future. I think about months later. I'm not sure what time that was, but he meets Agamish in the future. But then the first one was not enough. Agamish was displeased by how he was living his life. And so Agamish for that gave him three more advice, a list basically. So the first thing is to live below your means. And so you can't spend more than you earn. It's reckless. Second advice is to seek expert advice. So you need to get advice from the people that are wealthy or people that have grown wealth, to understand the path you need to take. And then the third one is figuring out how to make more money out of the money you've saved. Because now, when you're spending less than you earn, you have money saved. So you need to figure out how to make more money from the money you've saved, basically. So Akkad narrates this to Bashir and Banser and Kobe, and they kind of, the typical thing, they were amazed and kind of think, oh, you must have been lucky to have met Algamish and be able to do this. But then Akkad corrects them that it's not luck. So if you have a desire to change your life, you actually do the work. So I think if the pain of losing something is less than the reward, so delayed gratification, basically, you put in the work and you do what you have to do to get what you want. So Bansura and Kobe, at the end of the chapter, Bansura and Kobe promise to follow his advice and improve their lives basically. So I think in next chapters, we kind of know how their lives turned out and everything. So that's a summary of the chapter. I hope my story painted a picture, a real life picture of what it must have been like seeing this man in person and everything. So personally, my lesson out of the chapter was more than anything, seek expert advice. So you don't know what you don't know. I think beyond finance, you can apply this to every other thing. I have my personal experiences with work, school. You you learn so much by just asking someone that's worked the parts you want to work. Honestly, like even if it's building a bridge, you learn more by asking someone that's built a bridge than trying to maybe read textbooks and figuring it out on your own or just praying. Like just seek expert advice with everything. Then the second one, I think reading this book, it felt like Faith wrote the book to an extent, or the book was a cornerstone to building TSS modules all through, I think, March, basically, because of his finance and everything. So follow Faith's lesson. I think that's not just my lesson, that's my advice to you as well. The all spend less than you earn, no matter how little you think you earn, spend less than you earn. It's crucial to being in control of your personal finance and building wealth. Um, Multiplying your money and everything. Like, these things feel like Phil has said that over and over and over, and then seeing it from the book, like, oh, it kind of that reassurance, that no reassurance, that revalidation, like, oh yeah, this is how we should really work. So for me, those were the personal lessons that stood out. Then having said all of this, painting a picture of the chapter and also my own personal lessons out of it. I think for everyone, I'd like to leave us with this. I think actionable steps we can move on, we can move forward with. I think the first one is, once again, spend less than you earn. I understand what it's like to feel you don't earn enough. I'm a student as well, so and before I go here, like I genuinely understand. But then, no matter how little it is, it's 500 a month. It's knowing that, oh, I'm in control of something. The feeling you get that, oh, I'm actually on the right path. It's 500 a month. If it's spend, save as little as you can. And then beyond saving is not enough. You need to be realistic. You also need to explore ways to make more money. I think that also goes to expert advice. So whatever field you're in, you might want to ask around. If you know someone, if you're good with writing content, you might want to reach out to people that maybe content marketers or something. Seek expert advice. Seek people that are already making money. Like, how do they make it? Make real money. Don't do something that's unethical or something, but seek expert advice. So make more money, but then you need to save. I think saving is very, very important. Investing might be a little out of reach for most of us here. I can't say if someone is very liquid here, aside Faith, probably. If someone has a lot of money to spare, I don't think, but then we need to first learn that first step, spending less than you earn. I think it's a crucial thing for everyone. So moving forward, go back to lessons from the previous modules, the budgeting, watch the videos, listen to Faith's advice again, figure out how you can spend less than you earn if you've not already been doing that. And if you're already started applying Faith's advice, I think you should be happy with yourself. You're on a very good path, and yeah, you can now start learning how to invest, learning the approach, read the books. It goes back to seeking expert advice. So if you've hacked spending less than you earn, you might want to, from this call on forward, you might want to start learning or investing, the different options you have and everything. So yeah, that's it with chapter one. I'm really excited to learn what happened in the other chapters. I didn't have time to read everything because of exams, but yeah. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Kamal. Thank you so much, Kamal. I think if you enjoyed it, you can just give me a round of applause. Like, you are all doing. Congrats and well done. Well done, you did well. So I would hand over to Safet now to give feedback because she mentioned that she wanted to give feedback.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me clearly.
Yes, second.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you very much, Kamal. Really, really appreciate the thorough, I would say, summary overview of chapter one. So I'll provide feedback afterwards. I want everyone to go first, and then even if we don't complete the feedback today, happy to spill it over to next week where we wrap up the entire session. So I think Kamal is very good. I did have a I wanted to put it out. Does anyone have any questions for Kamal based on what he has told us? Does anyone have any question for him? I wanted to ask that before we move on to chapter 2. Okay, I don't see anyone coming on. Okay, so maybe I'll hand over to Isaac then. Isaac, you can continue on chapter 2, but thank you very much, Kamal. Isaac, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know that I was on mute. So what I was saying was that something that Kamal said that really stood out was the fact that there are segments in this thing. You can you can actually know how, like, the first step to take is knowing how to spend less and earn, then now progressing. Because now maybe me, I know how to spend less than I earn, but then I don't know how to use the savings that I know that I eventually get wisely. So, and there's some people that they don't know how to spend less than they earn. I would not give them a shout out now, but I mean, you know yourselves. So, yeah, I think well done, Kamal, again. Well done. So, who is your, okay, David is your accountability partner and his presence. That's a nice one. That's a plus. So Ose is next. Ose, Osajimere, and Ijeoma. I hope you guys communicated with each other so for the person that will be presenting first. So who will be presenting first in your team?
Hi, Isaac.
I just want to say that I
Yeah.
expect everyone to speak. And so hopefully you guys, split that amongst yourselves. I actually expect everyone to speak. All right. Just
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I communicated with them and we split the chapters among the three of us. So I'm going first, then Ose is going next, and then Ijema will go after her. So that's how we split it. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Osajimere, and I read chapter 4 and 5. So I'm going to do a quick summary of both of them. So chapter 4 is 7 cures for a lean purse.
We're meant to do chapter 2 next. Sorry that I jumped in.
Oh, the topic, you shared it according to topics, and my topic was chapter 4.
Oh, so we used to take chapter 2 then. Sorry. Oh, did I share according to topic?
Yes,
okay,
according to topics.
let's just go that way. I thought I said it according to chapters. Okay. Never mind me. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think I'd like to start by saying that I found it very interesting that the book was written as a story. Like after reading like the preface, I kind of expected, advice written, from someone's experiences. But then it was really interesting. So chapter 4 introduced the story of the king Sargon. He was referred to as a good king. And then he went to battle and came back to his kingdom. And then apparently, based on what was said, he was obviously a good king who did a lot of things for his people. And those things he did brought prosperity. But after he came back from his wars, he was informed by his chancellor that most of his population were now living in squalor and poverty. And of course, the king was surprised. He was wondering, where has all the gold gone to that we invested in infrastructure for these people? And then the chancellor grimly informed him that all the gold is now in the hands of a few people. And the king was shocked, as I'm sure you are too. How could just a few people take all the gold? Did they rob the others? What could possibly have happened? And the chancellor replied that those few men acquired the gold because they know how. And that's a key thing I want us to all take note of, because they know how. And then the king demanded, if those people have the gold, those few people, because they know how, then shouldn't almost everybody have the gold? I mean, aren't they working? And then it turned out that most of the people in his kingdom, according to the chancellor, did not know how to get that gold. And there's nobody to teach them. And then the king asked, so who knows best in this city to teach my subjects how to become wealthy, how to get this gold? And the chancellor told him that it would be the person who has successfully amassed the greatest wealth or the greatest amount of gold in that kingdom. And then, of course, it stands to reason that the richest man in that kingdom, of course, is Babylon we are referring to, would be the person who is best positioned to teach the population how to get gold. And so he was summoned by the king, and he came to meet the king. And during their conversation, the king found out that this wealthiest man in Babylon was not born into a rich family. He did not start out with, a job that pays him 20 million naira a month. He started out with only a great desire for wealth, meaning he only had it in his mind. He had that mindset that I'm going to get wealth. He didn't have it. And then the king was very surprised. And he felt, wow, if this man could go from having nothing but the desire to now being one of the few people who has most of the gold in this Babylon, then he's definitely in a good position to teach people who will teach others how to amass wealth and get gold. But then, just to make sure, the king asked the wealthiest man, is there a secret to acquiring wealth? And the man said, it is practical. What a person knows based on their experience can be taught to every other person. And so, because the king was excited and he commanded him to teach the others. And then they gathered about 100 people in the temple for the man to sit and to start teaching them about how he got wealth. So I think that formed the basis for the book, because the man set out to teach them 7 principles, and those are the 7 cures for a lean purse. So the 5th chapter, which is titled The First Cure, was now the one of the 7 that he set out to teach them. And that first cure was subtitled Start Thy Purse to Fattening. So that's, ancient English. What he was basically trying to say was how to increase the size of your purse. So I want you to visualize your wallet. Maybe you have only 2,000 naira inside. See how flat it is. Now imagine you had 3 bundles of dollars, not naira. Do you think it will fit in your pockets? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on your trousers. But that's exactly what I want you to imagine. So this man was taking them step by step. And as you know, when you are climbing a staircase, you cannot jump to the 5th step. You have to start from the lowest point, which is from the very basic introductory step. And that was his very first step. Then how did he teach them this step? He started by asking them a question. He said, what do you do? And we're going to get to this in a moment when I'm discussing the lessons, but I want us to take note of all this. He asked the first person, what do you do? And the person said, oh, this is what I do. He asked the next person, what do you do? The person mentioned something different. And he kept on going that way until he had asked every single person there what they did. And they all said, and now every single person that was working was getting paid. Of course, the salary was not the same, right? The profit was not the same. But when you work, you earn something. The wealthiest man in Babylon pulled something from there. He said, there are many ways you can earn money. You don't have to buy crypto. You don't have to do affiliate marketing. You don't have to do faceless channels on YouTube. You don't have to dance on TikTok. What you are doing right now that is giving you money to sustain yourself is a great place for you to start your journey to building wealth. Are we following? I believe you are. And then he went on and he told them, Since you desire to build wealth, instead of waiting until you can quit your job and tell your boss to get lost and start buying crypto and dealing in forex and carrying laptop up and down, why don't you start with the thing that is already giving you money? Does that make sense? They agreed that it made sense. And then he turns to someone who was selling eggs and he told the person, if you take a basket separate from your other baskets, and every morning you put 10 eggs in that basket, and in the evening you remove 9 eggs to spend the next day. Let's assume egg can be a form of currency. You spend the next day. The next day again, in the morning, you put 10, in the evening, you remove 9. How many, I want to ask us now, how many eggs will be left in that basket? Do we know? Okay, anyway, there will be 2 eggs left in there. The egg from yesterday and the egg from today. If you keep doing that for a week, how many eggs will you have in that single basket? You will have 7 eggs that you have not used, that you have not traded, that are valuable to you. That is how you build wealth, or at least that is the first step that you take in building wealth. And then he told them that is the first remedy that you have to do to cure your flat wallet, to cure your empty bank account. You have to learn to save from the little that you are earning right now. Not what you earn when you get a new job or what you earn when you start a side hustle. What you earn, what you are earning right now as you are. And he told them there's something strange that happens that you might not be aware of. When you limit yourself to a particular proportion, and I'll get to that in a moment, a particular proportion of your income, you will find out that you will manage to survive no matter how tough it is. I think most of us have had this experience. They send you 40K for 3 weeks. In the first week, you blow 30K, and then you survive on 10K for the remaining 2 weeks, right? I think most of us can relate. Those 2 weeks that you survived on 10K, you did not die. Fine, you may have starved once or twice, but you were okay. It means that you spending an exorbitant amount of money in that first week was simply because of lack of discipline, not because you absolutely needed to spend that amount of money. Meaning that if you train yourself that, okay, fine, my allowance is 50K a month, but I only have 45K. So you put it in your mind that when they send me that 50K, my allowance is 45K, not 50K. I think I'm already going into the lessons. But then that 5K will be kept apart. You will see that even from that little, to you is little, you will still be able to live on that 45K, no matter how tough things get. And then he, of course, was using Asian grammar. I'm trying to use more contemporary English so we get this. Yeah. And then he said one last thing that he said that was very important. He said, when you save money, the money that you save is the money that you will use to build wealth. The things that you want, like, oh, I want to eat at KFC, I want to order food from Glovo, I want to buy a leather jacket, I want to slay on Instagram. You are spending money to get those things. And those things, I mean, in a few months, that leather jacket will be out of style. And you won't get that money back. Even if you resell it, you resell it at a loss. So you are getting the things you don't really need by spending your money. But that little that you are saving is what will eventually accumulate to build the wealth that we also deeply desire. So before I go into the lessons, I just want to ask this question. Which one do you think is more important to you? Building wealth that you can leave for your children, or wearing the latest designs, eating chicken instead of drinking, a bit of garri every now and then? Your answer can be different. Everybody is different, but I want you to choose. Now, I want you to ask yourself, if I only had to save a small amount of my income, and over time, I will be able to build that wealth, or I can spend everything and get all these things that I want, that in a few months, I will even be wondering, why did I even buy that thing? What was the point? Is the sacrifice worth it? I'll leave you to ponder on that. So now, even though I've already merged everything together, let me outline the lessons that I got from this. And I think I want to divide it into two. So I got some financial lessons, and then I got some, should I say non-financial lessons, but I'll just mention them in brief since that's not the main thing. So for the financial lessons, start saving now. You get 10,000 naira a week, remove 1,000. Okay, something I should have mentioned, he gave a proportion, and that proportion was 10%, that you should save 1 out of 10, that is 10% of what you earn. But like Faith has said in a previous session, yes, you should aim for higher than that, right? So don't limit yourself. I mean, you should aim for what's comfortable for you. So don't limit yourself to, oh, it must be 10%. If you can save 15%, do so. If things are so tight that right now you can only afford to save 5%, so you don't faint to your way to class, save 5%. So that's why I don't want to emphasize the 10% as by a rule of thumb, because all fingers are not equal. But make sure that there is a particular proportion of your income that you are saving even right from now. Emphasis on right from now. Don't wait until the grass gets greener. Start now. The second lesson I got from this is that a question that the chancellor asked, he said, who can teach them? And he said, who knows best in all our city how to become wealthy? When you want to learn something, you learn from people who have credibility. You learn from people who, not that they took a course online and decided to start teaching, people who actually know what they are talking about, who have gone through it. I can tell you, yes, this is how I did it. For example, we see Faith. I'm not trying to whine her or anything, but when Faith is teaching, she can bring out her own personal experiences and say, oh, these are the mistakes I made. She's not afraid to be vulnerable. She's not afraid to say, yes, you might not make all the perfect decisions. Like, look at me, look at what I did. But you learn from this. You can even learn from my own mistakes so you don't make those same mistakes. So when you want to learn about financial world, don't just learn from popular TikTokers because everybody follows them. So let me learn from them. Learn from people who demonstrate credibility. How do they demonstrate credibility? By their results, by their willingness to show you where they have won and where they have failed too. So that's another thing I personally took from this. And then the third thing, the wealthiest man himself, he wasn't born into wealth. Your parents don't have to be Dangote for you to become wealthy. You don't have to have a job where you earn 20 million naira a month for you to become wealthy. All you need is discipline, consistency, and that mentality that this is my goal and I'm going to do what it takes to achieve it. So that is the third lesson there. And okay, and then the fourth lesson I will mention is that when you want to save, don't save in a place where you would easily just dip your hand inside. What do I mean? When the richest man was asking them, oh, what do you do? What do you do? And he gave the illustration of the egg merchants taking a basket. One thing I noticed, he mentioned taking a particular basket that you will be keeping the remaining eggs in. How does that apply to us? If you want to save, don't save the money in the same amount that you in the same account, that you use your ATM card for. Because it's going to be very tempting for you to go overboard. The best thing you can do is to open a separate account and keep your savings there. If you remember clearly, Faith has told us why we should not lock our savings up, especially when you are saving for something in particular. So I wouldn't say, oh, go and lock it up, but make sure it's separate from where you usually spend from, because then, trust me, I've been there, the temptation will be stronger to dip your hand there. So those were the main personal lessons I got. On the non-personal lessons I got, I'll just give one because of time. The non-personal lesson I got was that the man, when he was teaching, he didn't just say, oh, this is a take and go. He told them, tomorrow, if any of you come and you have an issue with what I said, bring it back. Let us discuss it and let us talk about it. What that goes to show is that, yes, there are certain rules in finance, but then again, it's still not one size fits all. One person's experience does not mean that will be every other person's experience. So we should not, oh, this person was able to save 10 million in 2 years. That means that me too, if I don't save it, I'm a failure. No, don't use other people's results to measure your own metrics. Now, I'm sorry for taking so much time. Very quickly, the action steps for us. So there are 3 main things I want us to do right now. Number 1, I want you to take a piece of paper or open the notepad on your phone, right? And I want you to type the amount of money that is available for you to spend in a week. Do you understand? In a week. I want you to write down that figure. I want you to calculate. Now let's just assume we're using 10%. But of course, we've established that it doesn't have to be 10%. I want you to calculate 10% of that amount. And I want you to right now, either you withdraw the cash or you transfer the amount into a separate account that you don't use as your main checking account. Do you understand? Like, is it right now something? Who me too? Right now. Do you understand? That's the first thing I want you to do. So that money, you're not touching it. You're not using it to buy coke. You're not using it to buy data. It's just going to be kept. The second less action step I want us to take is I want you to identify. I mean, for most of us here, we already have a financial expert in our network, and that of course is Faith. But if maybe you want someone who is, different or something, I want you to identify someone before the end of today who is someone that you know, not that the person said, like you can tell that this person has expertise. For example, we all know, I think the founder of Money Africa, she's someone who, she has experience. And when she talks, you can tell she's not just reading from a book. She actually knows what she's saying. Someone that you can regularly look and follow them and learn from their expertise. Because these people, they were learning from the man who was the richest man in Babylon, because that is the man who knows how to get money. So you to learn from people who know, not people that come to Instagram to buy 2 million naira alcohol. Those are not the kind of people. I'm talking about people that have expertise that shows. And then the third action plan I want us all to take is that we should read the entire book. Yes, that's it. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you so much, Osaji Mere. Thank you, and thank you. I really enjoyed your session. That was amazing. I loved the storyline. I loved everything you said. Thank you so much. But I learned a lot. It was really practical. I loved the shades as well. So it was a nice one. Thank you so much. So I'm adding over to, and of course, please, I think you should also take your time in also like describing, because I don't think everyone will be able to share share what they learned today. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah, David said it was really fun listening to you. So it's fine. Just share the stories you learned so that all of us can also learn. And people that are not able to share today will share next week. So I'm handing over to Surface and to give our feedback.
I just wanted to say that Saturday was really, really lovely this one to me. I was just telling my mom now that, oh, I'm so proud of them. Yes, so I'll provide general feedback after everyone is done and hand over to us to continue. So, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everybody is having a great day. Anyways, I'm not done reading the book, but I have been able to go through the portion that's assigned to me. So I'll just continue from where Osajimere stopped. So Osajimere began by talking on the 7 cures for Olympus. In literal terms, 7 cures to being broke. So I'm just going to continue from the second cure. And the second cure is basically controlling your expenses, your expenditures. And I like the way this particular part of this chapter began, because when the first cure was actually that you should start saving, but second segment actually started with a question, which was one of the students asking that how do you tell us to actually start saving when what we even earn is not enough to cover up for like our wants, our needs. So the answer here was that your savings should not be dependent on your expenses but your income. Faith has said this in like the previous sessions, and that was something that I actually took from this particular chapter. So, and another thing is, he now said that the writer went on to say that what we are actually calling our necessary expenses will continue to grow except you put a boundary to it.
Hi, Ose. I can't hear you clearly.
Like now,
Or is
today,
it
you
just
earn 10,000. Maybe you were just interested.
I think what is
can
network is
everyone hear
breaking.
us here?
Yes, think our network
Yeah.
is breaking. Let's just give her time. Isaac, you want to turn off your video? Let's see. I want us to maximize bandwidth for everyone. Thank you.
So what did you say?
You can put off your video. I think that might help with everyone's network. Thank you. Pastor, are you there?
I think our network has issues.
I'll
Some
send her a
network
message.
issues.
I'll send her a message. Just give her a minute.
All right. So let's just give her like a minute or two. Oh, by the way, if you've learned a thing or two, you can put them in the chats. I would put what I've learned, what I learned from Kamal's session in the chats, and what I learned from Sajini's session. Yeah, you can if you want to.
Pastor, can you hear us clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. So sorry. My network is really doing the most today. Please, what was the last thing you guys heard me say?
Something about controlling your expenditure. You can just start over. Let's put off our
Yeah,
video
from
so it
yeah,
helps.
it's
So we
from
all
I
put off
think
our video.
from where you said okay.
Okay, I
From
should
where
Are
you
you
just start
said
from
fine?
the
that you
top.
should no, you can start from where you said save from your income, not expenses.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that your savings should actually be dependent on your income, not your expenses. That another thing is because why your savings should actually not be dependent on your expenses because most of the time what we are calling our necessary expenses would always grow. Like especially when we are earning more. Like I was giving like an example where I said that most of the time we feel like, oh, I earn more now, so I can spend more. For instance, maybe you're using AudioMark before. AudioMark, you can use like the free version. Then you now feel, oh, my salary has been increased by 10K. I can handle Spotify Premium. Some of the times that is actually not necessary. Like that is something that is you can still listen to music regardless. Do you get it? So that was the point I was trying to make there. That you should not confuse your necessary expenses with your desires. So this was just the point that the richest man in Babylon was trying to make. That because your desires would always grow, especially when you are giving your desires an opportunity to be gratified. Then he gave us a story of weeds, like a farmer now having a farmland, then leaving space for weeds to grow. The weeds will always come in, like as far as there is space. So most of the time, this thing actually depends on us, like having self-control and actually being truthful to ourselves after studying our habits, so we can reduce or eliminate what the excesses, what we think is not necessary. Like the example I already gave now of us listening to music. If you know there are cheaper options, you can actually go for that because at the end of the day, the goal is to build wealth, right? So we should practice delayed gratification. That's literally what I like learned from that chapter, and I'll be sharing with you guys from that particular cure. Try to practice delayed gratification and have a budget so that you can your budget should just be like your personal assistant in this journey of building wealth. When you have a budget, you know that okay, I'm going to spend this and this amount on this. You will not be able to go overboard. But if you're just saying, okay, as the money comes in, I'm going to spend, then at the end of the day, you may end up spending what you are even saving. So that's basically all for that particular cure. Then the next one was to make your goal multiply. Now you have money, you have saved, you have controlled your expenses. You cannot just leave it like that. You cannot just keep the money. Like as Faith has already told us in the previous times, you just keep your money in piggy vest. Or the particular example she gave that stuck with me was imagine maybe one of our grandparents had so much money then, maybe like 100,000, and our grandparents kept it. They said, no, I will not do anything with this money. I'm going to give it to my grandchild. It's going to depreciate in value. It's going to depreciate. So you should make your money work for you. you should make your money multiply. Like if you just leave your money in your purse, there will be no earnings from it. So you should make profitable investments. As the writer said, profitable investments are actually going to help you to grow your wealth. So your wealth is not the income in your purse, it is the income you build. Your wealth is not okay what you have saved, it is what you have invested in that is now producing or reproducing for you. So investing will help you multiply your income, and you should put your money to work so that it will bring you more income, which is a continuous stream of wealth. Don't just keep your money. Don't just say, oh, I've saved it and that is all. Because whether you like it or not, money will depreciate in value as far as you're not putting it to work. So that was the second one, which is actually the third cure. Then the last one I'm going to be talking on is the fourth cure, which is guard your treasures from loss. Now you have been able to save, you have been able to invest. Now guard what you have invested, guard your investments. Here the lessons actually are just to secure your money, in the sense that you would be able to say, okay, even if I make this investment, I'm not going to die if it doesn't work out. Like make sure any investment you are making, your principal, which is like your, like maybe you are investing 50K, you know that okay, this 50K I'll still be able to get it back. Don't put your money in any way anywhere you are like your principal is not safe. And the story here, the writer actually gave us a story where somebody gave their he gave his whole year savings to a brickmaker. So this brickmaker was meant to go and buy jewels from another, maybe like somebody else, and then they will both sell it together and they will make more money. But at the end of the day, they scammed the brickmaker, and in return, he too was scammed. They ended up giving the brickmaker glass. That is expected, because how do you even expect a brickmaker to identify jewels? So the lesson here was that before you make any investment, you should know, like you should acquaint yourself with the process. Like if you remember in previous sessions where Faith was telling us on the different ways we can save, we can invest, she talked on FGN savings bond. Then there was something she said. She said she's just going to tell us about it, but she's going to give us the duty of going to read and actually do our research on these things before delving into them. So I feel like that is what the richest man in Babylon was trying to make us learn from here. He said we should not trust on our own wisdom. Don't do, oh, they have told me that it works, I'm going to do it. Make sure you make proper research, because at the end of the day, you are trying to build wealth. So every penny counts. Don't just throw your money around or toss your money around just because, oh, this investment looks juicy. Because at the end of the day, you need to invest only where your principal is safe, where you can reclaim your money, and where you can get good returns from your money. There was another thing. Don't just borrow to somebody just because, like, okay, I have a friend that is in need of 50K. I know there are instances where you have to just give out, right? But if this person is meant to pay you back this money, be sure that this person is actually someone that will actually give you your money back, like someone that is credible. I think that's the English for it. Be sure you are giving your money to someone that will actually return your money, so you don't end up just losing money and tossing money around. So those are the three cures. So I'm just going to give a proper summary and like actionable steps. The first one, I'm just going to talk on the controlling your expenses. Make sure whatever you are saving is not dependent on your expenses, because expenses will always grow. Make sure that your savings is dependent on your income. Then the next one would be make your budget your PA, because your budget is your guy in this journey to growing wealth. Because if you don't have a budget, there is no checklist, there is no drawing board. So always that keeps your budget. Then the next one would be make investment that you are aware of. It's not like someone will come and ask you, oh, what did you invest in, or what did you do, and you're saying, I don't know, I just give my money to them, I know that in next 2 days it will multiply. So you should make investment that you can actually say, okay, this is what my money is doing, and this is what it is going to reproduce or give me back. Do you understand? So that's basically all for like my own segments. I hope you guys understand what I have been trying to say for the past, I don't know how many minutes. But yeah, thank you very much.
and thank you, Ose. It was an amazing session. It was an amazing session. I learned a lot. Delayed gratification, something I'm holding on to. Something how did you keep it? Yeah, saving our money from loss. Exactly. And can be very easy to let go of these things sometimes because it's not taught in school. Oh, thank you so much for everything you shared. I don't know if Stafid has anything to.
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that. I did appreciate and enjoy your presentation. It was good. And I think one thing that everyone should figure out how to how to live by is delayed gratification. But I enjoyed it a lot and I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much. I don't think Ijoma has joined. Is Ijoma here? I don't think so. I sent her a message on WhatsApp, but I don't think she has responded. So maybe we'll just keep her and move to the next. I is supposed to go
Yeah,
next.
Ijeoma is not here. So we are going to the next chapter now, and it's Mide Lawal taking the next chapter.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name
Good
is
afternoon.
Ayomide Lawal, and I took chapter 4, and it's titled Meet the Goddess of Good Luck. Just like Osadumeri mentioned, I also like how the book was written in a storytelling format. So the chapter starts off with the richest man in Babylon, that is Akkad, is in the temple of learning with some other men, and they are deciding on what to discuss. One of the men then brings up the concept of good luck because he had found a purse, right, that contained gold recently, and he wanted to know how he could continue to attract such luck to himself. Then the one of the men also present then brought up the gaining tables and race oxen. That's basically like gambling back then, where they'll put money on a horse that they expect to win a race, right? So the person mentioned how they should look into the gaining tables and resourcing because he believed that is the most that's the place where it's most likely for a person to find luck. But upon looking at it closely, they discovered that really gambling is not actually made to favor the person that gambles. The owner of the business, the gambling business, has made it in such a way that he always wins. And Akkad also asked them if they knew any successful person in Babylon or any rich person in Babylon who credits his source of wealth to gambling. And they were unable to mention anybody or think of anybody. This just goes to show that even in our present day right now, I don't think there is any rich person in the list of people that are rich in the world that would say that he has made his wealth, like maybe Jeff Bezos and the rest. That would say he has made his wealth from gambling, right? Then they then go on to discuss how missed opportunities related with good luck. And two men then shared their stories. One of the men, he had his father tell him about an investment opportunity where if the son of his friend was looking for people who would pull money with for them to purchase a piece of land that he already had plans for. And at the end of the planting season, after the harvest proceeds from the farm, everybody would get profits according to the amount of money that they had contributed. But the guy was really skeptical, and he told his father that, oh, there would always be another opportunity, and that he already had other plans for his income. But his father told him that, oh, he had also been like him. He had been in issues before when he was younger, and always thought that I can always invest another time. And he realized that he grew old without making any substantial investment and did not want the same thing for his son. But the man chose to ignore. The man chose to ignore his father. And when the profits eventually came from the land, everyone was surprised, because it was even way more than what they thought they would get. So at the end of the day, he ended up losing out on that very, very, very profitable opportunity, because he was hesitating, and because he thought that, oh, there will probably be another opportunity like that. The other man also told a story. The other man was a livestock trader. He told the story of how that one day he had gone in search of camels and horses, but he could not find any. And when he got to the gate of the city, he was locked out. And he found a sheep rearer who wanted to do away with the sheep he had, because he wanted to quickly get back to the city the next morning, and he did not want the hassle of guiding the sheep back into the city. The sheep rearer offered the man a very reasonable price, but the man wanted to count the sheep before paying. The sheep rearer was like, oh, I would leave a servant with you. You can just pay me 2/3 of the amount, and the next day you and my servant can count the number of sheep. The man refused, and by the next morning, other people had already come from the city, and they were willing to buy the sheep at a price that was even much more higher than the price he had given the man. So that was how the livestock trader also lost out on that opportunity. And looking at it, if the two men had taken advantage of the opportunity of contributing to the land, of buying the sheep at the price that man had given him, both of them would have hit a fortune, and something that could be termed as good luck. That just goes to show that what good luck is not actually just is not in action, right? It's actually in us taking advantage of opportunities that come our way. So further down into the discussion, they went on to discuss how that procrastination was the enemy of good luck. But all of them in Temple of Learning came to the realization that procrastination was actually the enemy of good luck. And they concluded that the goddess of good luck actually favored men that took action. And in order for one to attract good luck, one has to take advantage of opportunities that comes our way. So the personal lesson I learned from this chapter is that success in life, financial success, or any kind of success really is not found by chance. The people that we see in life, that we look up to, that we think, oh, this person is successful, I want to be like Dangote. I want to be like Otedola, right? Those people, they did not end up being successful by chance. It was as a result of them taking advantage of opportunities that came their way that they ended up being successful. Another lesson that I also learned was that procrastination in decision making only leads to regrets. Just like the story of the man whose father advised him to invest in the farming opportunity. The man was like, oh, I'm quite young and there would always be a next time. But then at the end of the day, he ended up missing out on a very good deal. So those were the two lessons I learned, and actionable steps I think we should all take is that number one, we should ensure that we are always prepared for opportunities, right? If there's anything like maybe we are open for all our desires, we are probably open for maybe a good job or getting into a very good school. We should endeavor to take action towards achieving that, either by maybe taking a course or just doing things that you know that when that opportunity comes, I'm going to be very prepared. I'm going to be very bold and just go for it with everything that I have, because I've been expecting it and now it has come and I'm ready for it. So that's one step we can take. And second actionable step we can take is to stop waiting for the perfect moment, right? When opportunities come our way, maybe an investment opportunity, you don't have to wait till maybe we're earning like 100K and above. You're thinking, well, I'm going to start investing when I start earning 150K, when I start earning ₦1 million. We should just take opportunities as they come, grab them with our two hands. And thirdly, we should have a mindset shift about the concept of luck. As we've seen in this chapter, right? Luck is not something that would just fall into your arms, right? Luck is found when we consciously take advantage of opportunities, really, when we take advantage of opportunities, and we don't have to think that our life, like our how do I put this now? Don't have to think that our destiny is like anything. We should not leave our destiny to chance, basically. Just like Bishop Diridipo would say that every man is absolutely responsible for the outcome of his or her life. So we're not just waiting to be lucky people, right? We would consciously go out and take advantage of opportunities that come our way. Thank you all very much for listening to my take on the chapter with the Goddess of Good Luck. I hope you guys learned something.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful animated. Wow. Thank you so much for the things you shared. So one thing I'm taking home is, good luck is taking advantage of opportunities, and bad luck comes through procrastination. Procrastination. So well done, awesome, nice work, lovely work. Thank you so much for all the things you shared. Yeah, thank you. So I'm handing over to Safet now to give feedback if she has any.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I was taking notes. So let me tell you some of the things I wrote. Success in life is not found by chance, right? Procrastination in decision making most of the time only leads to regret and then stop waiting for the perfect moment. So I have this opportunity to invest in, actually, guys. As I'm speaking to you, and just being, oh, do I go? Do I not go? Do I not go? So, like, just hearing you speak is really like pushing me to say, What if this is my own, ship that is coming at a very cheap price and tomorrow is going to be double the price? It's just making me think a lot. So I just want to say that I am actively listening and consuming the learnings as well. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that you guys actually took out time to do all of this. Really, really appreciate it. All right. Who's next? Who's next after I feel like Isaac does job too. Well, let me check. Who comes next? I think it's supposed to be Ayo2 and Debbie Jones. Ayo2, are you here?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Faith. So
Afternoon.
myself and my partner, Richest, we are here, and we actually did a thing. So we'd want to ask if we can present.
Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Oh, go ahead. That's lovely. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, can you guys see my screen? Please kindly confirm.
Not
I
yet. We can
can't
see that
see
you
it
started
yet.
sharing your screen.
Yes, I can't see
Okay,
it
yes, we
yet.
can see it now.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
can
Did
you
you
see
use
now?
AI or what platform did you
Yes.
use?
Isaac, don't
Hey,
ask questions yet. Please let them present.
Okay, so good afternoon,
okay, well
everyone.
done.
And my partner is Debbie Jones, and we are going to be talking about this next chapter, which talks about the 5 laws of gold. And what we did was that I believe we both read all the laws, but then we just picked that, okay, so that we can both have the opportunity to present. So Debbie Jones will be taking the first 2 laws. I'll be taking the second 2 laws, and we both talk about the last law and any other thing that we want to talk about in the chapter. So just to give us a brief overview and introduction, this chapter is related or after Ayo's chapter. So it was when the richest man, which is Akkad, is basically talking about when he tested his son. Let me use that word. So he was the king as at then, and it was like almost time for him to hand over to his son. But he already said that he was not going to just give him the inheritance like that and just assume that, okay, because you are the next person in line, then you just like take over the throne without proving yourself. So he took him on an assignment or gave him an assignment that he wants him to prove that he deserves this particular throne, which I believe is something that should actually be a requirement for those people that are kind of born into all of these kind of things, so that generational wealth do not just crumble because somebody came in on the throne and doesn't know how to manage the money properly. So he gave him a bag of gold, and he also gave him a clay tablet, and in that clay tablet was the 5 laws. By the bag of gold, he basically gave him to go trade and come back with his results in 10 years time. So the son went into the real world, let me use that word there, but he went to Nineveh. That was the city he went to. And upon getting there, the first thing that he took, or the first thing he decided to make use of, was the bag of gold. And he squandered the money because he fell into like two major like financial difficult or two major financial traps. So the first one was similar to what um Favor gave, which was the horse deal. So he met somebody, or he met a group of men there, and they were like, oh, that okay, let us do this particular horse bet stuff. That they know that there was a wealthy man that he owns a particular horse that there's no other horse that's ever outrun the particular horse at that point in time. So he fell for it that, oh, since these people already have history of the horse that was always winning, he went ahead and then put in like, sorry, is anybody speaking? Okay. So sorry, Fred, are you speaking?
I think I was going to mute every other person, so it's like,
Sorry, please, I can't hear you well.
I said I was going to mute every other person. Please continue.
Okay, okay. So he lost like a large percentage of his gold to that particular scheme. And instead of learning from that, somebody will go, there's a proverb that usually say once beaten, 10 times shy. This was not the guy's case. He went ahead to like fall for another type of scheme. And this time around, it was because, okay, he saw another son of a wealthy man like him, and he was like, oh, okay, let us, because there was a particular merchant at that time that recently died, and he had like this his store where there were goods and all of those things. So the son of the other rich man that he met at Nineveh was like, okay, let us buy this particular store and let us invest and sell the goods, get profit in return and all of those things. But then he told him that okay, you should use his own money first to purchase the store and all of those things, that him is going to go back to Babylon to collect gold so that he can put in his own capital to basically run the company or to run the business. And the innocent son, which is the master, he also fell for this particular trick. And at the end of the thing for $100 or be $100,000, and you're selling it at, let's say, $20,000, because the goods became unsellable and he basically lost the entire gold that his father gave to him. And then he came to that point of having nothing, that point of realization that, oh, I've squandered every single thing that my father gave to me. What can I do next? And he decided to look for a job. He decided to go everywhere to find a job, but he could not find a job. So he picked up the second gift, or the second package his father gave to him, which was a clay tablet, and he saw the 5 laws there. And he felt really sad that he didn't see, like, he didn't look at the laws first before actually spending his money, because he was just really excited to multiply his wealth and all of those things, but doing it out of ignorance, doing it out of lack of expertise, advice and all of those things. So he saw those 5 laws, and fortunately for him, he got a job where he was the one managing slaves, and they were building a particular wall, so he was in charge of those particular slaves. And after picking up the first law, which we are going to go into, which was to save like 1/10 of whatever it is was earning, and that's equivalent to 10% of whatever it is we earn. And he was saving, and then the supervisor was like, this guy is saving so much that you are such a responsible youth, that because youths are kind of known to squander money. So he was like, oh, why are you doing all those things? And he told him that, okay, my father gave me the gold, and I'm expected to come back in 10 years. And that's why I'm saving, so that he would not like disappoint his father. And then the supervisor like took in
Hi, Midday. We can't really hear you clearly.
like they already have the material. Sorry, is anybody speaking?
Yes, yes, yes. You can continue. We lost you at some point, but we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, sorry, I think it's my network. So when the supervisor saw that he had he was kind of responsible, so he invested in the particular material. And when it was time for them to build a particular gate, the king went out looking for merchants that have that particular material, and they were able to sell at a higher price, which was good for him. And the summary was just that he was able to accumulate so much wealth, even like 3 times what his father gave to him. And he came back home 10 years after, and his father was proud, his parents were proud, his wife was there, his children were there, everybody was proud of him and those. But one thing before we even go into the first law is that the fact that he made a mistake at the first time did not like discourage him, because imagine squandering the entire money that was handed over to you just for you to find wisdom at the end of the tunnel. That kind of thing, other people or some other persons might not feel encouraged to do any other thing because they really feel like, oh, I've lost all that is with me. But he decided to start all over again. So in as much as you might have made financial mistakes in the past, does not mean that, okay, now that you're about to maybe get another money, then you just feel like, since it didn't work in the past, well, let bygones be bygones and just continue to squander wealth anyhow like that. But you took responsibility. And one other thing I would like to say is that the first thing we should always look or pursue after is actually wisdom. Because when the Bible, for those of us that are Christians here, when the Bible makes it clear that wisdom is profitable to direct, it's really true and really clear. Because imagine if he had actually opened the clay tablet gain knowledge before actually making use of those particular resources that were in his hand as at that time. But then looking at it from another angle, I was also looking at it that if he never made all those mistakes, he wouldn't have in a way valued this particular all of these laws, because I don't know if it applies to every other person, but then I usually find out that there's some things that I might not understand at a particular point until maybe I'm in a situation that that thing is needed. Then I'll know that, oh, okay, this is how I'm supposed to apply this particular thing. That I'm not saying that we should make mistakes or we should just like work into mistakes. I'm just saying that looking at it from an
Hello, Ayo. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. I think Ayo actually has like some issues with our network. So we're going to give her some time to join back in. Okay. She left. Let me send a message to the group.
Hi everyone, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I was just saying that maybe we give Ayo 1 or 2 minutes and then for her to rejoin. If not, Debbie Jones will take over and then when Ayo comes back, she'll conclude.
All right, okay. Hi,
so
Ayomide, welcome back.
network.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
just share it and let's Debbie can go ahead with how.
Yeah.
So please, can you guys confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
yes.
So this are
AI for
before
these images. If you did, you actually make me really fast.
you say
So did you use AI for the images?
yes, we implemented AI in our slides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is nice. Oh my god, you guys are
Oh,
learning so well. Alright. David
Well
Jones.
done.
So this is the first law. So Debbie can go start for me.
All right. Are you handing over to Debbie Jones now?
Yes, I'm handing over to Debbie. She's one taking the first
All
two
right.
and the
Yeah,
second.
Debbie, you have the floor. The stage is yours.
David
You are
Jones, you're
muted.
mute. You're mute, please.
Yeah, you're muted if trying to speak.
Ayo, do you want to take your own laws then? If you're still coming back, maybe you take then
Yes, I can
David
hear you.
Jones. Yeah, like if you want to take the laws, you can take your own laws now, and then when Debbie Jones comes, you take her own because I think she dropped off. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. All right. I think probably people are having network issues. Isaac, do you want to take over? Who's
Yeah?
next?
Okay. Coming. Let me check it. All right, Shalom is next, but I don't think she joined. So,
Actually joined, but she just dropped off.
okay.
So maybe her network as well. But who is after Shalom?
Esther is next after Shalom.
Okay, if Esther is here, Esther, do you want to go next? So when Debbie Jones and Ayo come back and Shalom as well, they will take. But Esther, do you want to go next then?
So sorry once
All right,
again.
Ayomide is here now. Ayomide, you can go ahead with your part of the slides. Maybe when Debbie Jones joins in back, she will continue.
Okay. Okay, so there are 5 laws, or the Akkad gave his son 5 laws, which is Namasia. And the third law is talking about like portioning or safeguarding your gold when you get it. So if I want to read word for word what he wrote, this third law says that gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. So basically, what I got from this is that in as much as we want to amass wealth, in as much as we want to gather wealth, it's also important that we know how to handle wealth, because what actually helps us stay wealthy as people is not necessarily our the amount of money we have with us, is how we are able to manage, or how we're able to properly make use of the money we have at our disposal, because a person can actually be accumulating so much, but if the person doesn't know how to properly guide that particular amount, or that particular money he or she has, it's so easy for the money to like vanish at the twinkle of an eye. And that's why you see that some persons, they can be rich for a particular number of years, but then all of a sudden, within a short period of time, all of their wealth is nowhere to be found. So in as much as we have all heard that, okay, we are meant to save 10% of our income, we are meant to invest, we are meant to make wise financial decisions, it's also important that we actually safeguard our wealth. We actually safeguard all of the things that we have
accumulated over time. And how can we do this? What we can do is to seek advice. What we can do is to reach out to experts or reach out to those that have experience in that particular thing. And don't just like, especially when it comes to money, we shouldn't just take decisions based on um our mere maybe understanding. We should not say, oh, okay, I've seen this thing happen over time. Let me just like put in my money here and all of those things. A lot of persons have actually made that kind of decision that cost them so much, because imagine having saved for over 5 years, and because of lack of experience or lack of seeking advice, you put your money in a particular venture and all of a sudden the money totally crumbles. So in as much as we're trying to save so much, we should not just save, we should not just invest and think that, oh, we've arrived, let me just put in my money somewhere to just allow it to grow more. We should seek advice, because if you look at Nomasia, when he started saving, he didn't just say, okay, now that I have so much to save, let me just put in my money here and let me get more. The supervisor actually reached out to him and gave him advice, and he was able to trust the supervisor, because this is not his first time, second time, or third time in that particular kind of venture. And with the help of the advice he got from the supervisor, he was able to multiply his wealth and was able to keep his particular gold, and that was how he was able to go back home with even more gold to his father. And not only the supervisor, he eventually joined they had this membership for people in that kind of venture, and he eventually joined them and was receiving advice, other ways of investing his money and putting his money in other ventures that could help him increase his wealth. Another thing is to diversify. Basically, that the purpose of diversification, right? Like it's rightly seen on the screen, is to mitigate risk, because if you put your eggs in one basket, it's so easy for all the eggs to disappear if anything should happen. Imagine someone investing in the aviation industry now, and something happens in the aviation industry. Like, it means that the entire amount of the person's wealth has crumbled, because of you just have all your eggs in one basket. So try as much as possible to diversify. And diversification is not, I would like to say, it's not like when you have 10K, you're trying to diversify. Like, that's not the amount of money we're saying. You can continue to save up your 10K till you get a particular amount, and then you can eventually diversify and put your money in different kind of investment platforms. And like Faith said one time, that don't think that because you have 2K and then you want to put maybe 500 in carry rice, put 1K in piggy vest, all of these things don't necessarily add to this particular level. But when you've gotten to the point where you know that, okay, I have this huge amount of money, please, it's very important that we do not just put the entire money in one single basket. And another thing from this law is that it is important that we learn before we invest. Before you put your money in anything, please learn about it, because there's this kind of trend going on these days. So let me use crypto as an example. And I've also like thought about it that, wait, can I not just invest in this? Like, let me just try my luck and see how this thing works. But then the thing is, what we do not learn, or what we do not pay so much attention, put in so much effort to understand, at the end of the day, most times we usually pay for it. And sometimes the losses are not usually something that um would be good at the end of the day. So it's always important that we learn. And I wrote something that invest in what you understand. I know some people might have arguments concerning this, that, oh, doesn't mean you should understand every other things. But for me as a person, and to the advice I would like to give is, invest in whatever it is that you understand. Let me use Namasia as an example. Namasia was working as the leader of the slaves that were working on that particular war in Nineveh. And I believe he would have seen how things are being done. Okay, because he was in charge of the war, all the materials and all of those things. I feel that also gave him the confidence to actually invest in that particular material they needed for the gate, because he has worked on something related to that. So he has this little understanding of whatever it is he's investing into. He's not just going into it with blind eye that, oh, okay, let me just go into all of these things and all. And I wrote there that a common mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to this particular law is that you see a lot of tips online. See one influencer will come out one day and say, oh, this is how I was able to multiply my this thing. They're trying to promote a particular brand, maybe one financial or let me say a digital company gave them one particular deal to help them promote their brand. They've never used that Apple, but then they just come out and say, put your money in so and so and get 10% or 15% interest. And as their followers would have it, they'll gullibly follow them. And at the end of the day, something happens to the app. The influencer that gave you the advice is busy sitting back and enjoying his money because he didn't even like put his money there. He was only trying to help promote a particular product that he has been paid to do. So it's always important we do not fall for all of those kind of tips in quotes. So the fourth law is talking about being ignorant, and which is kind of related to the second law we talked about. The third law, I mean. So the law word for word says that gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. So it's important, like I said before, when you get wealth or when you've accumulated your money up to a particular amount, it is important that you seek knowledge because there's something knowledge does. It helps to prevent mistakes. It helps you to avoid making the errors that every other person might have made in a particular thing. Like speak to people, have people around you that you can easily go and meet that, okay, I have this amount of money with me. I've saved up this amount of money. I want to actually put this money to work. What can I do? How am I supposed to invest this money that would help me gain more output? Not that you just feel like, okay, now that I have 1 million naira in savings, let me just go and put it in crypto, because that's what a lot of people are saying that is making them massive return. So it's important that we seek expert advice. It's important that we meet people. And one thing I would like to say that we should not just feel like, okay, expert advice is mainly maybe people that are far away from us. Like it would surprise you to know that people around you, like people you might not even rate, they actually have experience in some of the things that you might want to put your money into if you have good people around you. Because most times the mistake we tend to make is that we usually look too far when it comes to things like this. We'll be like, oh, okay, this person that I see on LinkedIn is always talking about finance. Oh, how I wish I could actually reach out to the person. It's kind of hard to reach out to people like that, but people around you, it's more easy for us to actually reach out to them. It was Nomasia's supervisor that actually gave him the advice to invest in that particular material they needed for the gate they were trying to build. It's because they built this connection over time. And imagine the master of like, you are just a supervisor here, you are not rich, you are not the son of a rich man, you are not the enemy. Why should I trust your words? He was basically a supervisor, but he trusted him because he knew that this guy has been here over time. So we should not always look too far sometimes to get knowledge. We should not always look too far to get experience. You have faith here. Faith has gone far in terms of all of these things, because with all of the things she usually says, it's not like you know that it's not someone that is saying it out of what she has read, but someone that actually talking from experience. So it's important we do not look too far most of the time. And another major thing is to ensure that we do not fall for FOMO. FOMO is basically, as we know, is fear of missing out. So because other people are putting in their money in this particular thing, does not mean you should put your own money there if you do not understand that particular thing. So if you know nothing about crypto, please, it's not advisable for you to put your money into crypto. What you can do is to, okay, get knowledge. What is crypto all about? What's Forex all about? Before you actually believe that you can put your money there. You should not just feel like, okay, everybody is doing this, everybody is doing that. Let me also use my money to do this thing. Maybe I would at least get return out of it. And a common mistake a lot of people fall for is this get rich quick schemes, where people say put in 10K, get 2 million naira in the next 30 days. Like, I really don't know how people come up with that particular confidence to trust things like that, but we are different. And I believe that all of us here, we are more higher than all of those things to fall for those things. So the last law basically is talking about greed. And if I would like to read the word for word, it says Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires and investments. And one thing I've seen from my own personal experience as well is that greed is not something that is usually very loud. Greed is not something that would come to you and say, I am greed. Like, it could be so subtle that you wouldn't even know that you're actually greedy when it comes to your money. And this is not saying that you don't want to give people your money. This is saying that you do not want, like, you are not patient enough to actually see your money grow. You just want, let me do this and let me get this in the next how many days. Let me just put in 5K and let me get 50K in return. But that's not how true wealth is built. The Bible makes it clear that true wealth gotten through quick rich schemes, they tend to slip away from the person's hand so quickly. So we should understand that to grow wealth, it is important that we learn the habit of waiting. We learn the habit of being patient, because you cannot get that amount of money that you wish you would get at that particular period of time. It's not that easy, or it's not that quick. It's something that takes time. It's something that we need to be patient for it to grow. Just like a farmer, when a farmer plants seed, I can testify that every farmer wants that their seeds germinate in next 2 days, because who would not be happy to see what you put today coming up tomorrow? But that's not how it works, because there's just some basic laws of life that must always up, or the things must always fall into place. For there are so many processes that we cannot, you know, we cannot bypass. They're just things that must happen. So it is important we understand that we should be patient when it comes to growing wealth. We should not be too impatient. We should not be too quick to say, oh, this thing is not working, let me quickly change it, and all of those things. And also, I believe that it's important that we stay realistic, because greed is when somebody refuses, in a way, kind of refuses to admit a particular thing. Because imagine you're earning 100K currently, and you are saving 10,000 naira every month. Over time, the total amounts are going to have would eventually increase. But for someone that is not willing, or is not ready to take, or is not ready to go through that process, person will be thinking that, oh, how can I quickly use this 10K to get 20K? How can I use this 10K to get 100K? Which is not bad, but the question is, do you actually have the knowledge you need to multiply that particular amount that quickly? So why not just be patient and let your 10K grow over time by compounding and all of those things, than for you to just take the 10K and eventually put it into something that you do not understand, and you lose out on everything. So one thing that greed does is it makes you lose more than what you even gain, what you would have eventually gained. So it's important that we stay true to ourselves when it comes to wealth, and we should learn patience, because if you are not patient enough, the money would quickly go. And it's always painful when you've amassed, or you've gotten something over the years, and because of just a little mistake or a little attitude that we could not let go, all of those things that we've gathered eventually vanished. So I hope that with all of these things I've said, we've gotten some few points. So before we move to the final action points, I think Debbie's back. Like to go back so that Debbie can talk about her.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ayomide, and thank you so much. Debbie Jones, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. You can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Debbie Jones, and I will be talking about the first two laws, basically. Thank you so much, Ayomide, for giving a very fundamental background to the laws already. And so I'll just be building on what she has said, basically. The first law is not anything new. I think many of us have already talked about it. First percent, sorry, 10% of your income So also the second law, we've spoken about it a number of times, but I think I would just like to emphasize two things. First of all, these five laws are like, I would say, a summary of the entire book, or a summary of like 80% of the entire book. If we can hold on to these first laws, these five laws rather, if we can hold on to them, I think we're going to have financial breakthrough and security. Because the way Akkad explains these laws is he gives us an understanding of what money is. All the laws, he stated it as though we are in a relationship with money. That is the way I like to see it, because he said gold comes gladly, gold flees, gold does this and all of that. If it seems to me as though gold, which is money in our own context, has feelings. And while I was reading these laws, I was giving myself more like a understanding of what money is. So it's just like in relationships. If you can hold on to wisdom, if you can understand these laws, if you can understand the nitty-gritty of money, if you can understand what money is actually about, money itself will not be an issue. But if you do not understand it, if you do not have wisdom, if you do not know what it's all about, then you would lose it eventually. So when I say it's more like a relationship, is because if you're in a relationship, if you do not understand what it takes to preserve and to keep a relationship, you are going to eventually lose it. It doesn't matter how perfect, quote unquote, that human being is. It doesn't matter how good your partner is and all of that. If you do not have the wisdom on how to keep it, on how to handle it rightly, I think at the end of the day you're going to lose it. And it doesn't matter how many persons you meet, eventually you will lose every one of them. So I think the understanding of these laws is just going to help us to navigate our path very well in handling money and also in keeping money. So the first law, like I said, is not new to us anymore. It says gold comes gladly. So I want to emphasize that those first parts, the feelings of money, the feelings that money has, so to say, that if you can keep 10% of it every of your income, just like I think in the first chapter where Akkad said a part of all you earn is yours to keep, right? So if you can faithfully keep 10% of it, of your income every month, or every of your earnings, basically, if you can keep 10% of it, then your money itself would know that you value it, and he would gladly come to you. So that's where I was seeing it when I was reading it. So your money will come to you, it would stay with you, knowing fully well that you value it enough to save 10% of it. So if you do not save 10% of it, just know that you are not being careful with money, and it will not like you back. So the point that is listed here in our slides is pay yourself first. Every a part of all you earn is yours to keep. That's the first. Pay yourself. Before spending, just like we've said, save at least 10% of it. Then your money will gladly stay with you. Second thing is start small. It doesn't even have to be big. I have always been that kind of person that would say I need to earn a lot of money before I start saving. But now, after reading this book, I now understand that money also has feelings. So even if I earn 4,500 naira, I'm going to save 450 naira, and I'm going to be faithful with it. So starting small also is very, very important. Then why does it work? Saving consistently builds wealth, and by paying your future self. So basically, if you are consistent with it, so it has to be faithful with it and be consistent with it. So if you are faithful and you're consistent, eventually you are saving money for yourself. So I think I would like to emphasize that part of starting small. You don't have to wait until you have a big amount of money. I feel if you are faithful in little, you are going to be faithful in much. If you are not faithful in little, there's no way you are going to be faithful in much. In fact, once you start earning a million naira, you would see no need. it will be more of a burden to remove 100,000 naira as savings, because when you were earning 1,000 naira, you were not able to remove. I mean, you were not faithful enough to remove 10 naira, 100 naira. Sorry. So yeah, that's for the first law. Then the second law, investment multiplies your gold. Second slide. Okay, thank you. Investment multiplies your gold. So the second feeling that this money has in this place is that your money can labor, and it can labor and multiply. But if you do not put it to work wisely, it will just sit idly. And no one likes to sit idly. So eventually you lose it. But if you can put your money to work wisely, it will labor for you and it will multiply for you. I think the first chapter also talked about this part too. So it labors diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment. If you do not find employment for me, as me that I'm money now, if you do not give me something to do, I would eventually leave you and look for someone else that would use me. I think that's just the best way I can put it. So make your money work for you. Invest your savings, just like Faith has said in our previous classes, that you don't just save and save and save and save. What are you saving for? You save for investments also. So you can save and then use this money that you have saved for an investment. You should not just make your money sit idly. Make it work for you. Invest your savings on into generating opportunities. And just like the son Numasa, right? Who his father gave him gold and all of that. He could have just handed over his wealth to him. He could have just handed over the estate to him. But the father wanted to know that this guy is wise enough to to handle this little gold that he's giving him compared to the estate that he has. So that when he comes back, he can manage the estate properly. So it is basically about you going out to prove yourself. So there is an opportunity waiting for him at home. But if he is not faithful enough with little investment and little, multiplication of the money and all of that his father has given to him, if he's not faithful to it, coming back, his father would not see any reason to hand over his estate for him. So there are a lot of opportunities that are hanging around, a lot of opportunities in the business world. Everywhere there are a lot of opportunities, but we have not just labored enough to meet the standard of those opportunities, if that makes sense. So I think invest your little money into little opportunities that are around you at the moment, and then eventually the bigger opportunities would come. I went to search about one of the schemes that Faith told us about. And I discovered that before you can invest in certain things like real estate, you have to have a lot of money. But the FGM that she talked about for that federal government, this thing, you can start with 5,000 naira. There's 5,000 naira there. So I think investing in those little things, then you be able to invest in bigger things later on. So there are opportunities all around, but start with the ones that you have. The compound growth is just like livestock, yes, like money grows exponentially over time when it is reinvested. Doesn't matter how little you are, how little you have, sorry, or how much you have at the moment. If you are so, do not let your money sit idly in your bank account. Instead, allow it to grow. So, in conclusion, Law 5, Amide has already spoken about Law 5, talked about greed, talked about how a lot of people, go about making money, and you will not know that you are greedy unless you find an opportunity. I remember um one of my friend had one opportunity, so to say, that was right before her, right? And she didn't tell anybody. I think she didn't tell anybody. In fact, she didn't even tell me. Before you know it, she gave them 35,000 naira. They did. In fact, they doubled her money for her. Before is also very important. In the multitude of counsel, there is safety. Before you invest in anything, you must be transparent. Inform someone about it. I think we should not just make decisions on our own. It's only greed that will make you not to tell anybody because you just want to make your money and go. There's a saying that says that if something sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. So before you invest your money into anything, just be sure of what investment you are investing into. I think the gold, that's money, it runs away. It's too impossible and it's normal. If you try to force me to doing something that is irrational, something that is wow, like just like that, just want me to bring you $1,000 overnight. Gold does. That's what money does. It flees from anyone who tries to force it into impossible earnings. And even in fact, even if you make your money through any of these means, it's still going to flee because the same way it came is the same way it is going to go. So financial success is more like a process. It's not a sudden event. It's not something that happens all of a sudden. So next slide. I think we'll just
Okay, so just to add to what Debbie has already said, one thing I'd like to add is beyond all of the knowledge that we're getting, beyond all of the things we're reading, it is also important that we apply all of these things because result comes when we apply. So it's not just for us to read the book or just for us to do all of this presentation. What really matters is, are we putting all of those things to work? And I would like to say that please let's start today because there's something about the power of today. Like you don't have to have much to start building much. You just need to start from somewhere. Even if you're a student, like at least you earn allowance, you also receive some small monies from uncles and aunties. You can start putting aside something every month and it might not look big, but over time when you calculate all of things you've gathered, you see that it has become something very tangible. And another thing I would like to buttress on based on what Debbie said was that don't just save. Like saving alone is like making your money idle because your money is not working for you. Your money is not multiplying. Your money is not building anything. It's just there. Your 1K is still your 1K. Even if I know that, okay, there's some platforms that will give you interest, but then you cannot like compare the interest you would get or the growth you would get on an investment to that of a savings platform. So it's important that when you've saved, like me personally, what I do is I save a particular amount of money. And when I get to that target, sorry, I invest it in something. I put it something. I'm saying like as well I've done it over time. Just once I've done it. So that was just how I was able to invest that money. So when you save, invest. Unless you are saving for something else, you're saving to get something else, then that's different. But if you really want your money to grow over time, then you have to invest your money. Because imagine if Nomasia had just kept on saving the one tenth of his thing, it wouldn't have been possible for him to actually save 1/10 and then go back 10 years later with the amount of money his father gave him because it was basically a supervisor, let me say that word, because it was only supervising slaves. Like imagine how much he would have been earning. But because of the head supervisor met him and gave him the understanding that see, you can actually invest this money and it would multiply. And that was how I was able to invest and the money multiplied. That he had two additional bags of gold to take back home, making it 3 bags of gold, having received just 1 bag of gold. So saving alone would not make us wealthy, but investment would help us stay wealthy. Thank you. I hope everyone was able to learn from our little presentation.
thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. I actually did learn a lot. And thank you for the extra efforts with the slides. They were really nice. I know I jumped in. Isaac, sorry. Go ahead. I just wanted to say thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Debbie Jones and Ayo. I love the fact that you guys you put in the effort to use slides. So I appreciate the efforts, and I realize that like there are so many brilliant people here. Just hearing all of us speak. I mean, we will soon start like the CSS billionaires group in like the next 5 years, prophesying, right? And all of us will be in that group by the grace of God. So glad to hear everyone again. Now I'm handing over to our host.
Thank you very much, Isaac, and thank you very much, everyone. I actually did enjoy it. It was nice not to be speaking for the first time. So I'm actually really, really grateful for you guys. Now I know it's 5 o'clock. I know it's 5 o'clock, but we're yet to hear from Esther, Eunice. I think Esther, Eunice, David as well. And I know Shalom and Ijoma couldn't join. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you think we should do? There are two options. We could go 1 hour more today, but that might cut into time. Or we have the first, let's say, 30, 45 minutes next week for everyone to finish presenting, and then we wrap up TSS. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I want to hear feedback from you guys.
Yeah, it would be nice if everyone gives their opinion, starting from Esther. Esther is the next to present. Esther, I would love to hear what you think about it.
Oh, sorry, what were the options again?
So for today, I know it's 5 o'clock already. We still have like 4 or 5 people yet to present. So number one option is, do we move it to next week? So we use the first 30, 45 minutes next week to finish the presentations, and then we wrap up TSS because next week is going to be our last session. Or do we take our time today? I'm actually leaning more towards like next week. I want it to be like a very big party. But yeah, what's your take?
Oh, okay. For me, I feel next week will be okay.
Okay, so next week works for you. Esther, I know you're making a vote. You're like, oh, well, thank God. Anyways, okay. Let's hear from Eunice. Eunice, what do you think?
I don't know for considering time, I would have preferred we continue today, but I don't know about every other person's schedule. Since you want next Sunday to be like a party, and let's know we have finished the presentation today. So I don't know if it's going to be convenient for us to continue today.
Okay, fair enough, actually. Let's hear from David. David, what do you think?
I really do not mind having it today. I would prefer if we have it today because next week is meant to be like a wrapping up, like Ini said. And
Okay.
yeah,
All right, so should we do next 30 minutes? Let's try to wrap up by 5:30. Does that work for everyone? Let's try to wrap up by 5:30. 5:30. All right, I think we should do that. So our next week is just, all party. Oh, does that work for everyone? Please raise up your hand if you can do like the next 30 minutes. My 5:30 will actually wrap up. If that works for you, just raise up your hand, please. The earlier you raise up your hand, the earlier we can move on. Move on. Okay. Thank you. Esther, Jones, Ayo, okay. Okay. All right then. Isaac, so I'll hand over back to you. Please call on the next person. Let's wrap up by 5:30. And yes, Isaac, take over.
Yeah, all right. So we are continuing, and the next person on the list was meant to be Shalom, but she's not here. So we'll be moving on to Esther. Esther, you have the stage.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'll be taking the I don't know the chapter number. I'll be taking a chapter, The Walls of Babylon. So basically, summary of that chapter. In Babylon, there was an attack to Babylon when the king was not around. So there were little armies, and the number of armies was very small, and the only thing they had protecting them was the wall. The general, the general that was in charge, Old Banzar, who was like the commander in charge at that point, was was always the first person to hear of anything that was going on. So basically, he arranged the armies, the ones that will stay on the wall to keep climbing attackers away, and at the gates in case the rams, the rams that heading towards the gates, in case they enter Sham. So basically, in a in a community that there is an attack, naturally the citizens will be terrified. So um three people came to meet Banza. There was the old woman, there was the pregnant woman, and then there was the young child. And they were asking him if the war will hold against the attackers and if they should be scared or not. And Banzara basically told them that they should not worry, they should tell their family members that the war would hold, that the wall was built. That was the main purpose of the wall. It was built over 1,000, over 100 years ago to hold against attackers. And that was what I told three of them. Basically, the walls of Babylon will protect you. So the attack lasted for 4 weeks and 5 days. And after this day, there was victory in Babylon. The attackers they what do you call it? They retreated. Yes, they retreated from it, from Babylon. Mind you, the king was not aware of the attack in. Okay, maybe it was aware, but it was not present during this attack. So what I learned from this was, first, the roots, the wall, the wall of Babylon was very deep rooted for it to hold against these attackers. As they said, it has been there for 100 of years, and it has been protecting the citizens against foreigners and against attackers and bad people, right? So it means it has a very strong foundation and it's gonna be easily shaken. And this wall, in context of finances, is our insurance, our savings, and investments, basically. Then, in case of old Banzar, the commander, the what I learned from him was the faith he had in the walls of Babylon. The faith he had in those walls were as strong as the walls itself, because all the citizens that were afraid came to meet him for assurance, and he kept telling them that the wall would hold. So he made use of, as I said, there were no there were small armies. Most of the armies already followed the king to the east side of Babylon, and there were little armies. So Banzar made use of the small armies he had. He made use of what he had, which was wall and the small armies, to defend the citizens from the attackers. Then, what I also learned, it was not written there, but what I figured was that after every battle, basically the wall was going to be repaired and made stronger, because for it to stand strong for 100 years, it means that they kept I don't know if I can say empowering, but like they kept repairing, they kept fortifying the wall. No, after every attack, if they just leave the wall as it is, the wall becomes weaker, and maybe the next battle can maybe they can lose the next battle because of the wall, because the wall will be weak, and then the attackers can enter. But after every battle, I'm very sure that the walls were repaired and made stronger. That's why they were able to last that long, if no more. So for actionable points, the first thing is to build a strong wall of Babylon in your life. I feel like you can use it in your life, you can use it financially, you can use it in every aspect of your life to build a wall of Babylon. In finances, as I said, is your savings. Wall of Babylon basically is something that can protect you, something that can protect you when uncertainties, things that you did not plan, God forbid, an emergency. It can be used it can be used personally in um like, for example, knowing yourself, basically. The wall of Babylon, the way I understand it personally, is if you have a strong perception of yourself, then other people's perception would not affect you. If you know who you are, if you know who you are truly, then what other people think of you does not really affect you, because you know who you are. Who you are is your wall. So what other people think of you does not really matter, like that. Then spiritually, the second actionable point I have is the person in charge of the wall. That is you yourself. You have to believe in that wall, that it will hold, because some doubting thoughts might come, like the citizens of Babylon. They can come to question you. So you must have faith, like Banzar, as it did for the wall. Must have faith that your wall can hold. Because why exactly would you build a wall if you don't believe that it will protect you? So the wall that you are building, you have to believe that it will protect you. The savings, what you are saving, what's the savings that you have to believe that it can be useful when an emergency comes. The investments they are making, you have to believe in them, basically. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther. Thank you very much for this. That's my energy. Thank you. Okay. I know I promised 5:30, so we want to make sure that we're actually meeting up to time. So Eunice will go next. Eunice, you have 5 minutes, please. David, you have 5 minutes, please. And then we'll use the remaining 5 minutes to wrap up. Does that work? Okay, so I'm handing over to Eunice. Eunice, go ahead, please.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right. I'm only Eunice. So I'll be taking us on the camel trader of Babylon. So first off, the story started with the story of a young man, Takad, who was working in a market, thinking of how he was harassed the previous day from a woman he stole from in the market. Then, while he was working, he was thinking of whom he was going to borrow from, and that person he was going to borrow money from without having the intention to pay back. So while he was working, he ran into Dabasia, a man whom he borrowed from, and the man was happy in the sense that Takad is going to pay my money today. And when they started talking about the money, Takad now gave an excuse that ill fortune has come up, like he has ill fortune. That is why he's not being able to pay up his debts. So why he said that, Dabasia now told him that Dabasia in this sense now is a camel trader. And Dabasia being the camel trader now told him that ill fortune only comes to the man who thinks of borrowing than repaying, meaning that whenever you think of borrowing without having a means of payment, you're only calling misfortunes to yourself. So he went somewhere to eat and Takad went alongside with him. So when they got there, Dabasia ordered for food and ordered drink for Takad and said that he has a story to share. So being a wealthy man full of affluence in the town, in Babylon, everybody gathered around him to listen to his story. And he started telling them on how that he was a slave before the time he became a camel trader and being this wealthy, and they were murmuring. He said that before now, his father was someone who made saddles, like saddle for boats and all those kind of things. So he learned the trade from his dad, but he did not learn it well. So being a, how they call it now, learning under his dad, he already took a wife for himself and was fending for his family. So why doing that? Why taking care of his family? He was living a luxurious life to the extent that he was buying things. And when he started it, he was able to pay. He was able to pay for the things he was buying. But over time, he now had customers in the places he was buying the things. He was now taking on credit. So he now had debts in many places and he was not able to pay back. So this now made him bankrupt. Being bankrupt, after 2 years, he joined a company of thieves. So when he joined the company of thieves, their first attempts at stealing, they were stealing caravans from people. Their first attempts at stealing, they were successful. But in their second attempt, they were not so successful, being that while they went to steal, they already got what they went to steal. They already got the caravans they went to steal. But then they met a native chief who had his own boys, who had his own thugs. So they used the caravans they stole to bail themselves. And the man now took them as slaves. So when they took them as slaves, they took them to Damascus. And they sold Dabasia, who is the camel trader in Babylon now, the wealthy man, for 2 pieces of silver then. So when they sold him for 2 pieces of silver, they took him to a king who had 4 wives. So when they took him to the place, the king said they were going to make him a eunuch, that is a castrated male. They're going to make him castrated. So while he was saying that, he asked his wives if they once heard him as a eunuch in the place, and they just looked at him with disdain and contempt, that who is this person? Because they already shaved his hair, they wore him slave uniform and all those kinds. So they already changed his identity. So when he got there, the wife said, the first wife said she doesn't want a eunuch, so said the other wives. But she now remembered and said that she has been meaning to go see her mom, who is sick, for a very long time, but they don't have a camel tender, somebody who can train camels or who will tend a camel. If he can do it, then they will employ him, that kind of thing. So they asked Dabasia there, can you tend a camel? He said yes, that he can. That they said, how can? He said he can make a camel new, he can repair the sitter, he can feed them. And so when he was saying, he was like reading out his portfolio. So by saying that, they already knew, okay, this guy is equal to the tax. So that was how they employed Dabasia. So on his first journey with the queen, they were going to see her mom. On his way with the queen, he now told the queen of his story on how that he was not a slave from birth, that his father is an honorable man, so himself that he was an honorable man before he had the misfortunes that followed him. And the queen said something very, 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 very worthy of note that I'm going to read out now. So what the queen said was that she said, How can you call yourself a free man when your weakness has brought you to this? If a man has in himself the soul of a slave, will he not become one no matter his birth, even as water seeks its level? So I'm going to explain what this means the way I understand it. I understand that it means that even if you were not born a slave, if you have the soul of a slave, if from what you have been doing, how you've been training yourself, you are not giving yourself what will make you an honorable man, you can intend follow the other way that you are already training yourself to become. So if he said he was not a slave, how did he land? How did he become a slave eventually? So that was what she was trying to say in essence, that how did his weakness bring him to this level that an honorable man became a slave? So from that, he now started thinking about what the queen told him, that he's not born a slave. Oh, how come did he eventually become like this? So after their journey that day, there used to be an event that only slaves will stay and enjoy and talk about themselves. So the day they were having that meeting, Dabasia stayed in his tent all through the day. Then the queen went to meet him again, the first wife, and she asked him, why are you now outside with the other slaves? And he said that ever since they had that encounter, that he had the first encounter with her, that he has been thinking of that conversation that he had with her, that he was never born a slave, and now he's living this kind of life. So he does not want to associate himself with slaves because that is not his identity. Just like our first discussion in CSS was about knowing ourselves and knowing what you bring to the table. So he was not having a rethink of his life then. So that was how his good relationship with the queen started. So he was not living life as a slave, even if he was a slave as at then, he was no longer living life as a slave. So on one fateful day, the queen now told the king that she was going to see her mom again, that her mom is sick and all those kind of things. But before then, she already told her maid to prepare 2 camels and to prepare plenty food, water skins, things that will endure somebody for a very, very, very long journey. So while they were doing that, Dabasia was wondering, why are we going to see the queen's mother for just one day and we are packing this whole load? And that was how the day they set out for the journey. When they got to the queen's mother's house, the queen dismissed her mistress, the maid that escorted them, and told Dabasia if he was born a slave. And he said, no, he was never born a slave, that he's an honorable man. He was born a free man. So she said that this is his only way of escape, that he should go with the 2 camels, with the food and everything that she stocked up with on the camel, and find his way back to Babylon. And if he has a way, he should pay back the people he was owing and every other thing that made him come, that made them sell him as a slave. So he should just settle his debt and get a new life for himself since he has identified his mistake. So that was how Dabasia started his journey in the desert. He was going, even up to the time when he wanted to give up, he realized that those words were still coming back to his head. Were you born a slave? How did you get up to this point? And that was what kept him going until he got back to Babylon. When he got to Babylon, he went to all the men that he was owing and promised them that he was going to pay them back. And some were not happy with him, some were happy. So he went to one of his friends who was a money lender. But since he told the person that I know how to tend camels, and the king of Babylon recently commissioned a man to tend camels in the town, to buy new camels, they should now start a camel business in Babylon. So he went to meet that man. And when he started that business with that man, having the knowledge, he was able to pay back every man he was owing, get his wife back and his family and every other thing. So that was how he became the camel trader of Babylon, by learning a trade, and he was faithful at it, and he did it very, very well. So my lesson from this story was that we should not spend more than we earn, just like how we have been saying ever since, and that anybody who spends more than he earns is only sowing seed for trouble and humiliation, like you're just preparing yourself for disgrace in future. Then we should never have an excuse for failure, just like how he was almost giving an excuse before the queen told him that if he's saying that he was not born a slave, how did he get up to this point? So there is no excuse for failure in life. And that I actually learned that we should be valuable. The moment that he was almost going to be a eunuch, they asked him if he knew how to tend camels, and that was how he read out his portfolio, that he knew how to make them new, he could feed them and every other thing. So that was what saved him at that point. So whatever skill you know how to do, you should be very, very good at it. Then our identity informs our living. We should know who we are. So the fact that we are not born slaves, it means that there's a whole lot out there waiting for us. So we cannot just live less. We cannot just be small. We cannot just do things in very, very little ways. And one other lesson is that we should never give up no matter what. And we should learn to speak out, because it was from his conversation with the queen that she found out that, okay, this man is somebody, even if he had this problem at some point in his life. Then one other thing too I learned was that God sends us people, even if you might not recognize them, but I believe God that we can recognize people. Just like we've been in TSS now, faith is one of God sent people to us. So God sends people to us. So God sending the queen to save him, even in that instance, was something. And even if she gave him the leap, she gave him the camels to find his way. If he was someone that sat down there complaining, okay, how do I find my way back to Babylon from Damascus and everything? But no, when she gave him the way, when she gave him the camels, gave him everything that he would need for his journey, he continued. Like whether he was going to die on the road, he did not care. He just went, and that was how he found his way back to Babylon and every other thing. So why God sends us people, and I find out that opportunity meets prepared people. So he knew how to tend camels. He was able to get that, and that was what made him valuable to the queen. And by so doing, he had the opportunity, and he really, really, really made use of his opportunity very well. So actions that we should have: develop the soul of a free man. A free man solves problems. When you're a free man, you don't just sit and whine about situations, you solve problems. Then be a person of integrity. If you are going to borrow money, you should have it in mind that you're going to repay. Then you should have a good association. His relationship with the queen was one of the things that saved him. Then we should know ourselves. Identity is very, very, very keen. He knew himself even if he was in that problem of being a slave. So debts are enemies. If you leave your debts to alone, they grow and they become too strong for you. So while he was borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, his debts became too strong for him, and that is why he joined robbers. And from being a robber, he became a slave. So we should never let our debts accumulate up to the point that we cannot sort them out. So if you have it in mind that you're going to borrow money, you should have it in mind. You have a means that on which you are going to repay. So that's all I got from Samuel Trader of Babylon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eunice. Beautiful insights, although you passed the time, but I love the amazing things you shared. Amazing, amazing, amazing. David, you can go ahead now.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the time taken. I'm not going to take as much time as I would like. So I read the last chapter of the book, The Luckiest Man in Babylon. The story entails Sharinada and Udangula. I'm not really sure I pronounced it right. They were on a journey, apparently. Udangula is the son of his best friend, Anangula. Arankula. Sorry, I'm not really used to Hebrew languages, but yeah. So Sharinada was on his way to Babylon. He was on camels and he carried his best friend's son and his best friend's grandson, my bad. Then they were on their way. The boy was this kind of proud kind of person who loved jewelry, accessories, the high life basically. He and his father, they didn't really know how to keep money well. So they wasted most of all of his grandfather's savings and his investments and everything. They just wasted everything and just let it go. So he was asking Sharonada that what is the essence of work? That work is for slaves and you're not meant to work, you're meant to live like a prince. That if he has the money that Sharonada has, he's not going to live the kind of life he's living, that he's just going to be flexing and be billing and just be enjoying life like all these Lagos rich boys. No shades. So Sharonada was tempted to tell him how his grandfather made his wealth, how he and his grandfather made his wealth. So he started the story saying that he was a slave. Meanwhile, the grandson was very confused that how was he a slave? That how did he even move from being a slave to being where he is now? He started the story. that being a slave wasn't of his own opinion. His brother was into gambling and drinking and everything, and he killed his friend because of he was drunk and they got into a fight. And the wife of the friend was furious and angry that why do you kill this person? You need to reprimand me for the loss. He couldn't pay, his father couldn't pay, and they had to put him or he put himself as collateral that unless that he is going to pay, and if he doesn't pay, they should take him. So the wife was angry and impatient and she sold him to slavery right away, sharp sharp. And this guy was like, it was most because of Abba. He did not do anything and they just sold him to slavery. It was very unjust because it was very unjust because he was not even doing anything. And it was sad because he was a young lad. And he was sold into slavery. He was on his way to Babylon. He met some other people on the way. He met two kind of people. Megiddo was a good friend. He was the positive kind of person. Then pirates and Zabado were the villains of the story, quote and unquote. So while Megiddo was saying hard work is the best friend, hard work is good, hard work is this, hard work is that, Pirates was like, I'm not going to work. If they fight me, I'm going to kill them. Zabado was like, okay, Megiddo, you say your hard work is this. Where is everything? Why are you a slave? They were making mockery of him. They were making fun of him. At the end of the day, he just kept quiet and let it. Then Sharonada was young, he was scared, and he met the guards that, please, is there a way for me to reduce my sentence? Is there a way for me to like get out of this, this bondage I've been in? The guard wasn't, he wasn't best friends in English, so he was speaking in terms that you will find funny. But the message he was trying to pass across was that work hard, get a good employer, let them know that you're confident, let them know that you know how to do your work. And by the time they give you employment, work and get yourself out of slavery. Then it was now a fateful day when they got to Babylon and they mocked. They were saying, people were laughing at them. They were saying, "Oh, the king is waiting for you at the walls, and you are meant to. They are going to have a banquet with mud bricks and onion stew." They were sharp confused. He was a little bit confused, and he said that the mud bricks are what they are using to build the walls, and the stew was just sweat and blood and everything. So, cutting to the part where he was they were about to get them from slavery. The day passed, they didn't find any employer, they didn't find anybody to buy him. Then one particular person came asking if they had a baker. Then he came forward, like what Faith said during TSS, that you should be doing interviews and everything, you should be bold, you should be confident. He came forward that why are we looking for a lowly baker? Yeah, employ me. I am young, I am strong, I'm a capable man, I can work. And he got his employment, he started learning how to bake bread, he started learning how to do his business, started learning how to do everything, and he was good with it. He got to a point where he even went to the employers and said, I have an idea. Why don't I work more hours and get more money? And out of the money I get, I will get my own share of it. Why you take the rest? The man was happy because yeah, anymore. As how he was working, getting his money, getting his feeling his lean purse to make it fatter, and he was happy because of the weight the purse was having. Then he got to a point where he was in the neighborhood and he met Arangula, and that's how they met for the first time. And the man was a slave, but he didn't know he was a slave. It was later that he said it. He was a slave who dealt with he dealt with fabrics and sheep wool. Not really sure I got that part right. Then over time, the employer was going into gambling. He was laid back because he didn't have to do any work again. So all he had to do was make money, spend money, make money, spend money, make money, spend money. Then it got to a point where the guy was now in debt. Shangla was still doing Sharunada was still doing his work, he was still earning more, getting his boss fat. Then the employer now got broke, he was into debt and kept him as a collateral again to pay loans. And the money lender now came and he was like, how about pay my money? He did not now even answer. Now took him, he took Sharunada, took him and sent him to slavery again. As if like life is not even fair for that guy. Honestly speaking, if it was me and for some other people would have fallen into depression because well, first of all, I didn't fall into slavery of my own will. It was my brother's fault. Now it was my employer's fault. I fall into slavery again. But the words of Megiddo saying hard work, work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard was his constant reminder. And it was okay. We went to the new person. Okay, is there any work that you need to do? The person said no, that he doesn't need to bake, that he just needs to build walls. And building was not a specialty. Apparently, I think it was free. So months passed, plenty months passed. The guy's determination was slowly decreasing, was getting weary, getting weak, and he almost broke down. Then he started thinking about what happened in the past. He thought about Zabado's idea. He was like, was it a good idea? Then he realized that Zabado was in slavery now. He thought about Pirate's idea. Pirate was dead, by the way. He killed a guard and he was hung and slashed and beaten to death. He now thought of Pirate's idea. Pirate was bad. He thought of Megiddo. He saw Megiddo when he was still working. Megiddo was still a slave, but was making money now. He was a big businessman. So he said Megiddo's idea was right. So he still kept himself. He still kept himself. Then all of a sudden, they called him back. That is it Arankula? Forgive me if I'm not getting him right. Called him and said, okay, we'll come back. Oh, your master is calling you. Then he came back. He saw him. He said that Arangula had bought off his debts, had rescued him from slavery. He was happy. He was free. Like the joy indeed was making him the luckiest man in Babylon. The fact that he has finally earned his right. He had a wife, he had children, and he was finally free from the whole something. I tried to skip some parts and rush. What I gained from this as my personal experience, my personal lesson was that work hard, because hard work will never betray you. Work hard. You might see people that are saying, oh, hard working is for slaves, hard working is for people that don't have sense, that you work smart, you not work hard, you do crypto, you get some, 1, 2 connections and fly high. But he decided to work hard and he made way for him. That was my one lesson. Then lesson two, be confident. Be confident. Even if you don't know how to do something, speak up. Tell them that you're bold, that you can learn in interviews, that kind of stuff. That was nice. And thirdly, have a right association. He decided to follow Megiddo and all those other people so he could know what he was doing and he could succeed. If he decided to follow those other people, he would have either end up dead or still be in slavery carrying bricks. Then what I feel people should do, what I feel there should be a reasonable example for people, for all of us here, is to work hard. You set our goals, know what we're meant to do, and to work hard to make sure our goals come to fulfillment. Thank you very much, and that's all.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Everyone is amazing. So many beautiful insights shared. I mean, all of us we are so brilliant in this group. I never knew like we had a lot of brilliant people here. Thank you so much for everyone for sharing your beautiful insights, and thank you so much for being a part of TSS cohort 2. Without you guys, this would not have been possible. So we appreciate you. We appreciate your efforts. We appreciate your inputs. We appreciate everything that you've done, like attending classes from January up until now. I just want to say thank you and thank you and thank you. So next steps for us would be let's say maybe like a mini party next week, and the real convocation or graduation will be happening when everyone is at home. So a poll will be made in the course of the week, or maybe today, dropped on the group. So we'll know the month where everyone will be at home. So we can pick a day in the month that works for everyone. Yeah, and I think I'll just give Stafit the ground speak the stage, yeah, to speak. So she can give us more details concerning the next steps. No, we can't.
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to say thank you to everyone, like everyone from, I don't want to start mentioning names because time has gone. So I just want to first of all say thank you. I did enjoy it. Like I feel like you guys put in a lot of effort into reading the books, understanding, coming up with personal lessons for yourself. I know we're like 40 minutes, like Is it? Yes, yes. Hello, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying that thank you very much. I really do appreciate everyone taking our time to read. I have learned a lot of things and it's just been nice to see. So, next week, what exactly are we doing? Next week, it's going to be like a wrap up session. I would like everyone to reflect and, like think of who exactly has made TSS special for you. What I want to do is I want to open up the floor to everyone. So it's like Kamal, let's say Kamal shouting out to David because he has been his accountability partner, shouting out to whoever, so it's going to be like an open floor. What I want from everyone, I'm going to make a voice note and put on the group, is everyone should come and speak about at least two people you met on TSS and how you've met them, how the experience has been, excluding myself, because I know all of you come and say, wait. So excluding myself, like two TSS participants, oh, you met this new person, you were friends, something like that. And just want to hear everyone. So that's it. Secondly, I want to create a form, like a closeout TSS form for everyone to fill. Ideally, I would send it during the week so that you can fill it during the week. Please make sure you filled it before next Sunday, so that like I can also go through it and provide feedback where necessary. Finally, next week Sunday, I'm going to be announcing like when we'll have our graduation party. Like I want it to be physical, so I'm really looking forward to it. I'll think through, propose options. I want to hear from you guys. So it's going to be when we have like our graduation slash send forth slash convocation slash pass out slash everything. And it'll be nice for us to meet in person, ideally before, I don't know. Let's see. Actually, let's see. I want all of us to be present, and it's probably going to be Lagos. So, Abuja. I don't know. I'm still thinking in my head, but I would actually really. Oh, maybe we have two sessions. Let's see. One in Abuja. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Yes. So it's going to be. I'll take our time this week to actually think about it, and I'll come with final plans next week. And we just have like a final wrap-up session. I just want to say that I'm proud of all of you. It's been an amazing 3 months of consistency showing up. It's not easy. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just saying that it's not easy to come and dedicate 2+ hours to to this lady that you probably don't know from anywhere. And but it's actually, I'm just really, you can tell from my voice, I'm actually very happy and excited. So yes, that's it. But thank you very much, everyone. Looking forward to next week. I'll create the form, so please make sure you fill the feedback form. And then when TSS Cohort 3 opens, happy to get you guys on board. Maybe come and speak in one of our sessions or come and volunteer like Isaac. Whichever one. But it's been an amazing 3 months. And I just want to say thank you very, very, very much. Okay, guys, I've spoken a lot. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye. You see all expense paid trip. Probably I go. All right, then. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.